contractors first. Got my new Sub Effects gear on, as you guys can see. Even got shorts to match it. John, again, thanks for the hat, man. John and I might be going live from Atlantic City, New Jersey, just to let some of you guys know. And I just want to make a quick little mention here about February 9th, 10th, and 11th. We got the Houston event. And then in March, at the first week in March, on a Friday and Saturday, we're probably going to be doing the Young Guns event. We'll have all that announced here really soon. And don't forget, there'll be a big event in Atlantic City towards the end of July. Guys, I want to talk to you today about pricing these freestanding buildings. And let's talk about this for a minute. I get guys all the time that, I just had one just called me up. Hey, how do I price this? First and foremost, I'm going to explain some things that you guys may or may not have trouble with pricing on these. When people talk about commercial applications being lowball and all that other stuff, and they're not the right pricing, sometimes you guys have to understand what is the scope. What is the scope? Because people talk about Walmarts, and we know that do across the entire Walmart, even on a maintenance, that's probably $1,000 ticket job, no matter how frequent you're doing it, whether it's once a month or whether it's twice a month or whether it's once a week or whether it's twice a week. It's going to take you generally about the same amount of time to maintain those if you're doing them in that type of frequency. That's why there's things called initial cleanings. And if you were even to take, like, let's example a fast food place. A fast food place, some of you guys have seen proposals out there. And if you want, just Google Ron Musgrave's commercial proposals, and you'll see fast food proposals out there for initial cleanings, and ranging from $800 all the way up to $1,800 for a single cleaning. Now, when you're talking about the initial cleaning, you're talking about a completely different ball game. And to be honest with you, on initial cleanings, I can't really, tell you by science that there's a rhyme, reason, or method to the madness, because you're there on the ground. And I'll tell you what, gum plays a huge factor. Gum plays a huge factor in when you're pricing these initial cleanings. Now, I can tell you this, and I'll use restaurants as an example, and I'll also use grocery stores as an example. If you're on maintenance pricing for a grocery store, it's going to take you 45 minutes to an hour and 10 minutes. That's it, max, if it's maintenance pricing. That means if you're going to be there within a weekly time period, every other week time period, or a monthly. Now, I gave you the span there. If it's weekly, it's probably going to be on the 45-minute side. And if it's probably monthly, you're probably talking an hour and 10 minutes. The initial cleaning could take you 6 hours or 2 days, just depending on how bad it is. And that's why I tell you, it's really difficult to give an initial cleaning price unless your boots on the ground and you're really looking at it. But I can tell you this, that any grocery store anywhere in the world is going to take about that same amount of time on maintenance, if you're talking maintenance pricing. So here's where some guys really get messed up on these smaller cookie cutter buildings. They'll call me up and go, and I'll use these Starbucks buildings as an example. They'll go, Ron, there's some guys out there doing these Starbucks for, $125. I'm not going to be doing no Starbucks for no $125. Look, sometimes these places have learned that they don't need someone to pressure wash the entire parking lot, okay? They've learned that they've got to do maintenance in between you coming, and they've hired somebody to do a job once a month to bring it to a certain standard, and then they're going to try to maintain it. And here's where the kicker is in this thing. When they're only charging $75 or $125, first and foremost, they're not doing the entire sidewalk. They're not doing the drive-throughs. They're not doing the dumpster pads. They're probably doing a little bit on at the front door on either side of the doorway, and maybe what we call a window serving area in the drive-through, which is only a car length of, that area there. Now, granted, those are the worst places, or they're having you do the patron doorway, and they're doing their delivery doorway or their back end doorway for that $125. And we're talking a very small area. We're talking about a service time of maybe 17 minutes, maybe 17 minutes, you're going to be there at that place to clean that service for $125. And if you're there more, it's everybody's figuring this out. Well, Ron, what about the driving time and the setup time? Yes, you're probably going to take more time to set up and roll up than you will to actually do the service. And that's where some of these guys get, that's where the fault is in some of this stuff in the pricing. Now, if you were going to do an entire freestanding building let's say it's a family dining unit. There's 3 classes of eating establishments. Okay. And I'm not talking about hospitality industry because we get into that. That's a whole nother ball game. And a lot of those are different, but there's roughly three styles of, restaurant establishments. And the first one is fast food. And I really don't like fast food. I don't like doing fast food. I don't like getting fast food places. Family dining is nice. It's great. And anything that falls in the family dining is, like a Chili's, breakfast and lunch place. I mean, those are family dining places. Outback Steakhouse, Olive Garden. These are family dining restaurants. Okay. And I just use the popular ones. They could be a mom and pop family dining restaurant. Drive-through constitutes that they have fast food constitutes they have a drive-through and you're getting the food in some paper bag. That is a fast food. A family dining place is a place where you're going to go in and sit down and they don't have drive-throughs. Okay. So there's the difference. Now, fine dining is another level, and we're not going to talk about fine dining and why I've categorized it at a different level. But and maybe in another video, we'll talk a little bit about that. But these family establishments, again, if you're talking about maintenance packages, okay, and it's kind of funny when people talk about package pricing. Some people think that package pricing in like the residential game is all these big discounts on, if you do this. I call packages, first of all, there's no discounts in commercial. We don't give discounts. If you give a discount in commercial, they always want the discount. There's no discounts. Package pricing means that you're going to package certain things in, and basically it's just a clever way of saying the scope of work, whether you're going to be doing things like the dumpster area, the patio, the sidewalks, the parking stalls in front of the building if they're concrete. These types of things that are, you can either be in the package or out of the package. Now, there's always, is there more an aggressive pricing per se? It's not a discount. It's just a little bit more of aggressive pricing than if somebody takes the thing a la carte. But we don't call them discounts. If they're going to do what we call an AC, which is all concrete areas, obviously we have a more aggressive pricing for that because we know by science, based upon the number of times we've done these, and we know that these family restaurants are of a certain size. They're all within a few feet of each other. If you guys really start measuring these things, you'll understand that a lot of these places that you're talking about, I'll go back to grocery stores, you'll find out there's probably 4,500 to 5,200 square feet out in front of an average grocery store. That's all there is. That's usually what the sidewalk is across the span of an average size grocery store. We're not talking about a super Walmart here. We're talking about the average neighborhood grocery store. And once you learn these things and and you definitely, if you're just starting out, you need to go ahead and take the measurements. But here, let me warn you on this. If somebody calls you with 50 Walgreens, you do not need to go out and measure them. They're all going to be within the same. They're all going to be very close in square footage. Now, am I telling you that you need to go out and to put your eyes on them? No, you probably need to come up with a across the board initial cleaning that you're not going to lose your shorts on. But obviously knowing the maintenance pricing and knowing how long it's going to take you to do these stores is going to help you set up and be successful for bidding all 50. windshield time and stuff like that between these stores, you're going to have to figure that out. Customers don't like to hear about being charged for windshield time. So what you usually do is you put it in unit pricing and you give them that windshield time built into each unit, because their budgets, man, they want to pay a unit pricing. That's another little tip that I just gave you guys. Many of these big corporations just want unit pricing. That's all they want. They do not want to hear about, well, that Chili's was 300 feet or 22 feet bigger, so we've got to add $7.52. They don't want to hear that stuff. They want to know that you have unit pricing, and across the board, they're pretty much going to pay likely the same. Now, they know that some of these places, if they have rural units, they obviously know that they may pay some windshield time on those, but they don't want to hear about windshield time. They just want you to know, okay, if it's in the city, it's going to be $3.25. If it's 45 miles out of the city, it's going to be $5.50. And they just want everyone that's outside of the city to be $5.50. And that's just usually what the standard practice when you're talking about these commercial buildings and you're talking about when they're freestanding buildings. But getting back to the packaging thing, and when I first explained in the video, guys get confused because, Starbucks is a perfect example of this. They do just doorways. They do front doorways and back doorways. And if you'll start looking, you'll notice that, wow, he's right. I can see right where they stopped. And that sidewalk is dirty from there on out, or dirtier if you catch it at the right time. Obviously, most of the time you're going to catch dirty doorways because they know that these things are taking a beating. That's why they have a professional contractor coming out once a month to just do the doorway and the rear doorway, because they can't tackle that. The other stuff they usually can, and we all too often see it. They're going, look at those hacks. They're out there doing their own stuff. No, they're doing maintenance. They're cleaning. Could you imagine if you went to a restaurant and they only had most of you guys don't notice, they have professional cleaners come in all the time. Some places once a night, some places a couple times a week. Some people every night they have professional cleaners come in and clean things down. But could you imagine if they were working in a restaurant and they just let stuff pile up and they never swept the floor and they just left things dirty and they stacked things up? How disgusting that would be. They have to clean as they're going. And it's the same thing with the outside stuff. They have to be able to clean these things and maintain them. They can't have a professional service come out there every day and do this for them. They have a professional service, us, coming out there to keep a certain standard of cleanliness that they know we're going to achieve because we are the professionals. Then they can let the lower level employees do the maintenance, but they know that at a certain time every month, they're bringing that standard back up to where they want to be and the level of cleanliness that they want. Guys, the bottom line is that I give you the times. I can't really give you the pricing as far as, what you want to do. I just told you that that's a 17-minute service. I'll give you another example of another great account. A PetSmart and any type of pet place needs a professional service, sometimes as much as twice a month. There's some that we do once a week. You're talking about probably a 14-minute job across the front of a PetSmart when you're doing. Had some of my chili there I had for lunch. They're doing it across the front of a PetSmart. It's only like 14 minutes, to actually do the service when you're talking about a once a week service. And we have some once a week services on PetSmarts. Normally, they get along with, doing it a couple times a month, and then one time a month as far as if it's a unit that's not, very trafficked. Now, how do these corporations determine how often? It's all based upon the volume of business that they're doing. That's all that matters. If you wind up doing, let's say a Walmart twice a week, that's a high volume. That store's doing buku dollars every day. It's slammed. Okay. If you got them doing it once a month or they're doing it once a quarter, that's probably a unit that's not doing very well and they're not doing the volume. All their budgets are purely based upon the volume of the unit. And believe me, they all have a budget for this. They really do. And that's what you want. You want places, you want to try to go out and wash places that they know they need these services. They've been doing these services, and you want to try to get those places. I always tell guys, and I'll give you this tip again: don't look for dirty places to wash. You know, guys out there all the time are going, "Oh, I want to look for the dirty places." You know, those are the people that don't care. They don't have the budget. They don't even have the money. Maybe they're going broke, and they're not going to pay you. They're the ones that have neglected their places, and all too often they're dirty. And a lot of times, you know, as a new person in the business, you're better off to go start looking for clean places to get, because they're already educated. They already know, they already know that this professional service exists. Now it's just a matter of you putting together something that's within their budget and giving them something that could potentially be a better job. And there's lots of tricks. We're going to be teaching in Houston some of those tricks and tips. And Houston is going to be a live show, guys. You don't have to worry. It's going to be a live show. Obviously we're going to give those tips there. You'll be able to watch it. We're going to put it online, and you'll be able to catch those. There's going to be so many tips and tricks we give away on not only sales, but all the types of washing tips and tricks. We're going to do property protection, liability reduction. We decided to title the class that, as far as, because that's what it really is: property protection, liability reduction. And when you're talking about doing things the right way, there are so many things and so many different things on different types of substrates and properties and specific things that you really have to be careful as far as what you're doing and how you're doing it. So guys, make sure you tune in. Ron Musgraves, Pressure Washing Institute, Contractors First. Hope my first video here with this headset sounded a lot better. We'll see what you guys think about it. Guys, we'll talk to you later.